All right, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for joining in. I want to talk about yesterday's Jets Broncos game. And I'm not going to bother getting into the stats of the game because normally, sometimes I like to mention passing, touchdowns, this and that, the stats of the game. I don't think they even matter at this point, as far as this game goes, anyways. But before I start the video, I want to say one thing. Can we all please stop this talk of the Jets being a championship caliber team, because it still goes on. I see a lot of other videos on the internet and YouTube and whatnot that they still talk about it. Can we please put that to rest? Number one, the Jets defense is not a championship caliber defense. Okay, let's just get that out of the way before we even start. Number two is the Jets offense looks like the Jets offense from last year, from the year before that, and the year before that. It doesn't look any different to me. And we're going to talk about that later on in the video, is what I think the reason is for that. So let's start out yesterday's game with let's start out with the defense. What the hell? Let's start out with the defense. In the first half, I was watching the game with a friend of mine, and boy, they were stopping the run, they were stopping the pass. But after a while, I was thinking, are they really doing anything, or is it just that the Bo Nix and the Broncos are just that bad? And I really came to the conclusion when the second half started that the Broncos offense is just that bad. The Jets weren't really doing. They were stopping the run and stopping the pass. I think he had like negative pass yards in the first half. They maybe had a few yards of offense in the first half, but so did the Jets. They didn't beat them by much, maybe a couple of yards. So both teams stunk. But let's go there first with the defense anyway. When the second half of the game started, you could see that, I don't know if they were tired or they just, the Broncos figured them out. I don't know what it was, but they were running all over them. Bo Nix was actually passing the ball like he owned them there, and they scored a touchdown at the very end of the end zone there. They caught a guy in the back of the end zone wandering around by himself. He actually almost overthrew him. But I wish he did in retrospect, but he didn't. So the defense starts to cave in the second half of the game. So I really started to think, okay, well, maybe the defense wasn't that good. Maybe the offense they made some adjustments and they came out and they were running the ball on the Jets. He was passing the ball. We're talking about Bo Nix and the Broncos here. They couldn't even stop them. And I don't want to hear all about that crap about it was raining, the ball was heavy and wet, like Robert Saleh in his post-press conference, as usual, tells us how great the other team was and they're a top team, top defense, and blah, 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 blah. He's always got the same bullshit excuses why they play like shit. But anyway, so the defense to me is not a championship caliber defense. This is not even a top 10 defense. And I think I've said that in the past. I don't believe they are. I think they have the talent to be, but I don't believe that they are right now. They're just not. Okay, so let's move on real quick here because it's even boring to talk about these guys there. It was so embarrassing to watch yesterday. Let's go on to the offense. Now, Aaron Rodgers does have his moments where he throws that fadeaway ball or he runs around and he finds a guy. That's what Aaron Rodgers does. Okay, so good for that. He threw for 224 yards or 42 passes or something like that. I can't remember what it was. It's insignificant now. The point of this with the offense is we were down on the 1 or 2 yard line. They couldn't even punch the ball in. Couldn't even get its touchdown down there. I just can't believe that I watched this team. And they can't even punch the ball in on the Broncos defense. And of course, Robert Saleh, they talk about how the Broncos front line, the defensive line is one of the best. I don't give a shit how good they are. If this team wants to be a championship caliber team, if this wants to be a playoff team, the Jets, you got to score on a team like this. The Broncos are not a championship caliber team, and nor are the Jets. So our offense barely moves the ball. Running game was non-existent because the front line, to me, I don't care what anybody else tells you. The front line to me is still a work in progress. These are 3 or 4 guys who have never played together, most of them anyways. So they're not meshing. They're not blocking. And if you noticed, Aaron Rodgers spent a lot of the day yesterday running around. He got hurt. I think he's hurt at the end. I don't know if he doesn't look like he's injured enough not to play, but he was limping off the field because he was getting rushed the whole day yesterday. There was no blocking. They couldn't open up a run game, nothing. And even when they did start to move the ball, you got Alan Lazard with his constant penalties. I don't know how many pre-snap penalties we have. I think I stopped counting after 10. Killing drives. Even if you want to call them drives, I don't even know if they were drives at that point. They were just mistakes by the Broncos defense. It looks like where Rodgers scrambled around and found a guy down the field open. But anytime they did get something going, penalties, stop this, penalties, stop the drive. And when you get a holding penalty and you start out 1st and 20, they're finished. This is not the Chiefs who can overcome that, or the Buffalo Bills who can overcome that. The Jets can't. They can barely get 1st and 10s, never mind 1st and 20s. So these penalties are killing this team. And this goes to my next rant that I want to go on, is coaching. Now, I know last year we all had a great time blaming Zach Wilson, and I'm not going to sit here and say Zach Wilson was what we ruined Zach Wilson. I think that the kid is over his head in the NFL. He couldn't even beat out Bo Nix to be the starter in Denver. As a matter of fact, Zach is the third stringer on Denver. So that being said, I get it. I understand that they gave up on him. I think they're partially responsible for ruining him, but I think the NFL may be a little bit over his head considering the competition he had in college. So that being said, my point is that we had Zach to throw all this on. When the Jets won a game last year, it was the defense. It wasn't Zach Wilson. When the Jets lost a game last year, it was Zach Wilson, nobody else. Once in a while, somebody had the sense to bring up coaching, but not normally. It was always Zach Wilson's fault. So Zach Wilson's gone. He don't play for the Jets anymore, so we can't blame him. Now, who do we blame now? Well, we can't blame Aaron Rodgers because, he's an icon. He's a future Hall of Famer. So we can't blame Aaron Rodgers. So now who do we have to blame? We have to go to coaching. And my point being is that it's coaching all along with this football team. Every single game, they look unprepared. They're not ready. They look like they're not into the game. The preparedness of this team is all the coach's fault. They're outcoached every single game, it seems like, and they're outplayed because of it every single game. And I want to tell you something right now. This is a 1-3 football team. If Will Levis doesn't decide to try to be Superman with a backward pass he throws while he's falling, I think the Jets would have lost that game in Tennessee. We'd be talking about a 1-3 team right now. They're lucky that guy just decided to be Superman with the ball and he gave it away down there at the 8 or 9 yard line. Or they were going to punch that in. They were going to beat the Jets. They'd be 1-3 right now. They're lucky they're not. And the Patriots win. As much as I love to see them beat the Patriots, because the Patriots beat us for 20 years straight almost with Tom Brady. This is a team that is rebuilding, that has a good defense, but this is still at the end of the day a rebuilding team. So we beat a rebuilding team and a team that really could have beat us if they didn't have Superman throwing the ball backwards on one play. So can we just please stop the talk about this team being a championship? I watched the guys on ESPN go through. I don't think they do it anymore. If they're smart, they won't, because they're going to look like fools. This is not a championship caliber team. This is not a championship caliber offense or defense. What we should be talking about as Jet fans right now is, are we going to end the playoff drought that we have? Because I'm going to tell you this right now, all honestly, this team cannot play up to the quality of the caliber of teams like the Ravens or the Bills or the Chiefs. I don't even think they can play up to the caliber of the Chargers. The Bengals are going to come around. We all know that. This is how the Bengals start. 1-3, 0-2, whatever it is they are now. They won their game yesterday against the Panthers, who are playing better ball, by the way. But these are teams that are going to come back, and they're going to come back around because they always end up doing it. But these other teams that are just like the Chiefs, I know they still seem to get the nod from the refs. That's a whole nother video. But at the end of the day, the Jets can't play to the caliber of those teams. They just can't. And therefore, I don't believe that this team at this moment, right? I could be wrong. They might win the Super Bowl. I hope they do. But at this point in time, can we please put that rhetoric away? This team is not a championship team. They're not even a playoff caliber team. Yesterday's game was so atrocious and so embarrassing as a Jet fan to watch. And I couldn't believe it. And I don't want to hear about the rain and all this other crap that Saleh. This guy's got to go. They got to get rid of Robert Saleh. They got to get rid of Nathaniel Hackett. And I even think that defensive coordinator, I think he gets a lot of praise that he doesn't deserve. I just don't think so. I think this has got to be a wash at the end of the season. If the Jets don't make the playoffs, and even if they do by some miracle, they're a one and done anyway. They're not going to get past the Ravens or the Bills or whoever's going to kick their ass in the first round. Even if they get that far, they won't get that. They won't get past anybody because they can't play to that caliber. Yesterday, we've got guys running different routes. Rodgers throwing the ball here. The receiver's still going down the field straight. They're looking at each other going, what the fuck what's going on here? You know, and I'll tell you what's going on. That's coaching to me. That's preparedness. And the Jets have none of that. They have none of that. They go into a game looking so inept and so unprepared and not ready. It's not funny. They got coached by everybody. And this is what I'm talking about. They have got to start to consider this. And another thing I want to talk about too while I'm ranting here is, what about our future, the Jets? What about the Jets' future? What is the future moving forward? A 40-year-old quarterback coming off of an ACL injury? Is that our future? What happens at the end of the year? I'll tell you right now what happens. You got to get rid of him too. Cut your losses, and you're going to start all over again, which we as Jet fans know we do every 3 or 4 years. We get a guy, ruin him, kick him out, start all over again. That's what we're going to do. This is going to be a rinse and repeat by the end of this season. So what is their plan? I mean, I wish somebody in one of these press conferences would stop listening to Robert Saleh tell us how good the other team was and how good their defense is, and it was raining, the ball was heavy because it's wet and blah, blah, blah. How about somebody says, Robert, what's the future of this team? I guarantee even if they asked him, he would say, he would come up with some horse shit because he isn't the future of the team. And at this point, he's got to start to know that. He's got to start to smell it because he won't be able to talk about that because he isn't the future of the team. They've got to get rid of this guy. Stop getting first-time head coaches, first-time offensive coordinators, first-time defensive. Stop doing that shit and hire guys that have fucking some experience, that can do something. Because what we have right now on this team is just a goddamn joke. This looks to me like the same team that last year looked. Inept. Offense is terrible. Can't move the ball. Guys running around. Penalties after penalties after penalties. Just killing what little drives we may have started. It's just an embarrassment to watch. Yesterday's game, I got to be honest with you, was probably one of the worst games I've seen this team play. And they have played some bad games. But yesterday, they were so bad, so sloppy. I mean, this is not even high school quality football we're watching with this football team. So, and another thing too, every time you talk to somebody, say, it's only the first game. It's only the second game. You know, it's only the fourth game. Pretty soon, you know what we're going to be saying? It's only the seventh game. It's only the eighth game. It's only the 10th game. And they're out of the fucking playoffs again. You know why? Because everybody just goes, just relax. We got Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers can't save this team. He just can't. I don't care what anybody out there says. I would debate and argue with anyone. He is not going to save this football team. He is not the Aaron Rodgers he was 4 or 5 years ago. He's still a great guy. He's still a great player. He's still a great quarterback. He finds the open guy when he's scrambling. When he has time in the pocket, he's devastating. He can be on defenses. But he's not the guy he was 4 or 5 years ago. And this team is not that. There's so much talent. It's so frustrating because there's so much talent on this football team. And to watch them come out and take a shit on the field like they did yesterday, it's just embarrassing. And that there's no other thing you can blame it on other than coaching at this point. This team is multi-talented on both sides of the ball. And you come out and you put up a stinker like that, it's got to be coaching, man. There's no other explanation for this anymore. It's got to be coaching. So now we have another year where we got to deal with Saleh and Hackett, and everybody in the NFL knows this guy's got a job because of Aaron Rodgers. Nobody's going to hire this guy except for Aaron Rodgers. He's Aaron Rodgers' pal. That's why he's on the team. That's why he's the offensive coordinator. They should tell him, listen, man, stay in the background, pretend you're doing something. Let Rodgers call the plays because you suck. You can't call a fucking play to get in the end zone on the 1 yard line. You got to be shitting me, man. So something has got to change, but just. The point of my video today is not only just to lambaste the Jets for one of the most poor performances I've ever seen as this team. Now we have Aaron Rodgers and all this other crap, and we're still putting up stinkers like that. Is that we've got to stop talking about playoffs and a championship team and Super Bowl contender. This team will be lucky if they even make the goddamn playoffs. Never mind anything else, championship or not. this is not the quality of this football team. Watch the other teams play. Watch the Ravens last night when they took apart the Bills, or the Chiefs, or the Bengals, who can put up points. And once they get their defense, I know that eventually they're going to. These teams would run roughshod over the Jets. They just would. I hate to say that, but they would. And before I close out the video, I want to say something else. I'm going to make a video during the week about the Minnesota Viking game coming up Sunday in London or Paris or wherever the hell it is they play the football games nowadays. I don't know why they even do that. But Sam Darnold is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's still leading the NFL in touchdown passes. I mean, the guy is actually getting thrown into MVP talk now. I don't know that he will be at the end of the year, because he's not going to get the accolades that an Allen gets or a Mahomes gets. He's just not going to. But I'm telling you something right now. Before I make my Vikings and Jets game video during the week, I'm gonna give you a little brief preview of it. The Vikings are going to kick their ass on Sunday. The Vikings are playing good. They're one of the best teams in the NFL, if not playing the best. Sam Darnold is going to come into London or wherever the hell they are, and he's going to make the Jets regret what they did. The Vikings and Sam are going to kick the Jets' ass on Sunday. I'll tell you that right now previously. And I'm glad I didn't make my pregame video about the Broncos, because I really had the Jets kicking their ass. I said the Jets are going to murder these guys. I was wrong. And I think everybody who watches my videos knows that when I make a mistake, when I'm wrong, I'm the first one to admit it. I don't come up with excuses why I was wrong. I tell you, I was wrong on that one, man. I was way off base on that one. I don't think I'm way off base on that one. And the next 3 games, we have the Vikings, the Buffalo Bills, and the Steelers. There is a good possibility they lose all 3 of those ball games and end up 2-5. Then I want to hear all these Jets guys on YouTube and Twitter and all their comments. I want them to tell us all how this is a championship team. This is only the 5th game. This is only the 6th game. There's a chance that we could lose all 3 of these next 3 games if they don't get their shit together and start playing football like a real football team does. But anyway, thanks for listening to my rant. I appreciate it. Leave me a comment below if you disagree with me. Maybe there's some of you out there who think the Jets are just messing around and they're going to win the bowl this year. Do me a favor. Yeah, leave me a comment. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. It helps me out a lot. Appreciate everybody listening to my rant. And I'll talk to you during the week. We'll discuss the upcoming Viking game. I've already given you a preview of it. The Jets are going to get their ass kicked, but we'll talk more in depth later on about it. Everybody have a great day, and thanks for joining. Bye now.